Okay, guys, this is for real. One of my last video, one of my last videos about Love Island. So it's, I don't know, it's kind of getting on my nerves, and I shouldn't say getting on my nerves, but frustrating to watch a show. Like we're watching the same show, but reading things entirely differently. And I know that there's biases. This is how I know people are biased, because I'm looking at the objective facts before coming to a conclusion, right? And you're watching the same exact things but jumping to completely different conclusions. So this is my response to people are still claiming, literally they're projecting something that's not even actually there. They're claiming Nick and Olandria are just friends and they're faking their relationship for clout. Now the people saying this are obviously two things. They're either extremely, what's the word, um what's the word for having a lot of doubt? Um, why can't I think of that term? But basically, people who question everything. It's like, oh, I don't believe it. Like, I can't. They don't believe anything. Like, you could be holding something up into their face, and they question everything. But like, even when there's no reason to question something, right? And I truly believe that a lot of people who make this claim have this bias of there's a underlying racial bias there. And I'm saying this because there's a trend in the people saying they don't believe, and they really project it mostly onto Nick. They're claiming they don't believe Nick is that interested in Olandria, and he's just faking the relationship for clout, because most people look at Olandria and are like, yeah, I don't think she's a fake person. But why these people believe Nick is fake is not adding up, because if you watch the show, Nick was one of the most brutally honest people on this show. He never gave off disingenuous. He was honest almost to a fault. Like, he literally voted for one of the Islanders to leave and would go up to them and be like, "Yeah, I voted for you to leave." Like, he's not faking anything about what he does or what he says. Now, I also feel like I think a big reason that people maybe are question, and I honestly feel like if you compare how Nick is with Olandria versus how he was with Cierra, it's like two completely different people, right? But maybe people are thinking he's fake because they're seeing a different side of him with Olandria than they saw with Cierra, and they believe that means he's disingenuous, when in reality we're seeing the difference between, you know, settling for someone and actually liking someone and not settling. um and that makes a difference in how someone treats you. I also feel like every video I've made about Nick and Cierra's relationship, I stated like Cierra and Nick were never meant to be. Cierra was controlling and manipulating a lot of that relationship. She was chasing after Nick. Nick Nick, in my opinion, settled for Cierra. I say this because, not because there's anything wrong with Cierra, not because Cierra um, is less of a person than Alandria. They just were not on the same level of interest. And Cierra had stated that herself. She said, "I feel like I like him more than he likes me." And even though she felt that intuitively, she continued pursuing that man. And as a woman, I would not advise you to chase after a man who's not showing you the same level of interest or more. Like, if you feel like you like someone more than they like you, that's not the person for you. I feel like in general, it's better if the man likes the woman more. And I feel like that is the relationship Nick and Olandria have, because it was clear that Nick's interest in Olandria was a lot more apparent initially than Alandria's interest in Nick. Like, Nick was always choosing Alandria for challenges. I wouldn't say Alandria was really heavily, like, she wasn't even trying to get Nick's attention half the time. She wasn't chasing after him. She wasn't seeking him out. Yes, they developed a friendship while in the villa, which I think is a great way to start a relationship. You don't have the pressure of romance or dating. And it really was when they both got removed from during Casa and they were forced to recouple up. Nick literally shot his shot. Like, he had been interested in Olandria from, I would say, it was hard to tell day one, honestly, but when he kissed her in that blindfold challenge was when we as an audience knew he was interested in Olandria, because he had the opportunity to kiss someone he was interested in, and he chose Olandria out of all of the other people in that villa. And that was on day 2. So for me, it's like, I'm not understanding why people are questioning Nick's interest in Olandria if he showed interest in her from day 2. He showed interest in her very early on in the show. They both ended up in other couples the majority of the show, recoupled up the last week of the show, and grew one of the most genuine connections. Most people watching sensed the authenticity and genuine. Like, it was the only couple that made me feel a type of way. And I can't understand how people are watching the same show and they're not sensing what I'm sensing and why Nick and Olandria have the support that they do. They give such, like, I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it. Their relationship just makes you feel something. It makes you want to root for them because you can see there's so many levels and layers to them as a couple where it's just like, you don't know, like, I don't know if I can see them working. But then it was like, there's constant little things that they were doing where they showed interest. And it's like they really do suit each other so well. And you can tell that there's a genuine interest. They both have a genuine interest in each other. That is so, it's so nice to see, right? Like, it's nice to see a couple thrive. And also, like, the way Nick was yearning for Olandria, like, most of the show. And then it's like you got to see like this beautiful love story with all these tropes. You have friends to lovers, forced proximity. There's another one I'm forgetting. Forbidden, because, you know, they were both in other couples when they got recoupled up after Casa, and it was like, but you're coupled up with one of my good friends and I'm coupled up with one of your good friends, like, we shouldn't be doing this. Forbidden lovers. There was just so many romance tropes in their relationship that if you read books, like, obviously you understand why this couple was such a dynamic couple that so many people wanted to root for, because they have all of these elements that pull you into their story. And then for the longest time it was like, we could tell Nick was really into Olandria, but we couldn't tell Olandria was into Nick. And Nick, in the very beginning of the show, said he loves the chase. Like, he loves the chase of a woman that's not as into him. And I feel like that's why Olandria is almost perfect for him, because she was never giving him what he had to chase her to get her. He literally had to do all of that. He had to put in all of this effort. He had to be a more mature. It brought out the man in him, which is something he said and his mom said about Olandria. Was like, his mom in the very first beginning of Love Island had said something about how she likes Olandria for Nick because she will bring out the man in him. And then he literally said almost that exact same thing towards the end of the show, not knowing his mom had said this, like, you bring out the man in me. And it was so nice to see, because Olandria is a woman that demands respect, right? Like, she's not going to tolerate being treated like an option or not being treated the way she knows she deserves. And I feel like Nick could sense that about her. He knew he had to step up and be this more mature person in order for Olandria to take him seriously. He didn't have to do that with some of the other people he was coupled up with. And so I really feel like he had to earn her. He had to work to get her. And I feel like that is why his relationship with Olandria is such a different type of relationship than the one he had with Cierra. Because if you watch the show and saw how him and Cierra's relationship began, it was really all Cierra made herself very easily available to Nick. That's the best way to say it. I'm not talking about just sexually, I just mean in general. She was chasing him, made herself available, was very quick to be like, I'm really only interested in you, I want you and no one else. Like, she was pretty much always all in for Nick. Olandria was not ever that with Nick until, like, Olandria didn't take Nick seriously. Like, you can tell, like, she saw him as a little boy, and he was like, oh, I have to be a man to be with her. That is the truth. Nick was not going to be able to play the games he did with Cierra. I also feel like part of the reason, though, that Nick could be that for Olandria is because she expected that of him to begin with. Cierra kind of babied Nick and treated him like he was a little boy. Like, when he chose her, good job. Like, the way she talked to him, she did not see him honestly as a man. She saw him as a prize, as an object, as a possession, but not as, like, this is the man I dream of. And it was always like, oh, am I your dream girl? That's what she wanted Nick to say about her. But it was just like, she didn't treat Nick like a man, and she didn't have an expectation of him as a man. She treated him like a little boy, and was kind of trying to force a lot of their relationship. And I feel like that's one of the reasons. Like I said, there's so many different dynamics to each of their relationships, but to me, watching the show, I don't think Nick and Cierra were ever going to work out long term. And I feel like Nick and Olandria's, like I said, they just had so much more dynamic things that happened. So many things had to happen for them to end up together. That's why they were the most exciting couple to come out of this show, because we all saw this initial spark, the initial connection they had, especially after that Soul Ties kiss. You can't tell me they are just friends and you watch how they kissed in Soul Ties. Like, this is why some of y'all are delusional. You're delusional if you're still trying to say Nick and Olandria are just friends and they're faking it. Or you think Nick is just faking a relationship with Olandria for clout. Because that man couldn't fake his interest in Cierra. When you watch him on the date with Cierra and him on the date with Olandria, there's two different versions of him. There's one that's like super with Olandria. He's smiling ear to ear. There's a sparkle in his eyes. There's a glow about him. You can tell he's much happier to be there. With Cierra, it seemed like he was kind of like halfway there, but like always distracted. Like, he doesn't have that same level of just like, he was never all in it with Cierra. That's one thing that you can't tell me. That's one reason you can't tell me he's faking with Olandria, because the body language shows he looked physically pained sometimes to just hug Cierra. Now, I don't think it was intentional. I think it was like subliminally his body. It was like your conscience, sometimes your own subconscious is portrayed without you knowing. Like, I don't think Nick was trying to show disinterest in Cierra, but his body language showed it at so many points throughout the show, especially when you compare how he acts with Olandria, which is why I don't understand how you can see how he was with Cierra, see how he was with Olandria, and immediately say, oh, he's faking it with Olandria. I think if anything, he was faking it with Cierra. And by faking it, I mean I wouldn't say faking it, because I truly think he had a level of interest in Cierra, just not as much interest as he had in Olandria. I don't think Nick is the type to fake anything. Like, he just doesn't come off as a fake person. And that's why I don't understand the people claiming he's faking his relationship or his interest in Olandria. Because he's never given fake to me. Nick has like golden retriever energy. He comes off as a very extroverted, goofy, fun-loving, energetic person. He loves being around people. He feeds off of the energy of the people around him. Like, most extroverted people like to be around a lot of people. I'm not extroverted. I'm introverted, right? But I can tell when someone's extroverted clearly, and an extroverted person gets energy from being around. That's why when Nick is around fans or on live, it's like he lights up, because he loves the energy. He feeds off of the energy. And when I say feeds off, I don't mean like in a negative way. I mean he truly, like, it boosts him up. It energizes him having people around him and having this fan base. And so people think because he enjoys the energy that Nick Olandrian stands are giving to him, that he's faking his relationship, when in reality he's just an extroverted person who feeds off of the energy, and he's getting all of this love and energy from the Nick Olandrian nation, who has been shipping his relationship with Olandria, and he also is enjoying his relationship with Olandria. Like, if you are faking a relationship, and this is where I'm like, this is why it doesn't make sense to me. I'm in a fake relationship with someone I don't actually like, and I'm doing it just to please, like, I'm doing it just for clout and fame and whatever. Am I going to be interacting with my fan accounts and gassing up the person I'm with? Like, I don't know. It's like, y'all think the person y'all think Nick is, it's like, you either think he's such this horrible person that he's just gonna fake all of his interests and all of his entire relationship with someone, which he's never given that to me personally. Like, he just doesn't come off as a fake person. There's a lot of people on the show that I could say have some fake, disingenuous things, but Nick isn't one of them. And I feel like a lot of people, I feel like he's being judged a lot harsher than other Islanders. And I'm not sure what exactly it is. I feel like there's people who think he wronged Cierra in some way because they were closed off, and then he seemed to so quickly move on to Olandria, even though, like I said, I don't think he just quickly jumped into interest in Olandria. I think there was a lot of interest in her initially. She basically friend zones him, so he thinks he has no option with her, and that's why he decides, like, I guess I'm gonna close off with Cierra since she's my strongest connection. Like, this man was honest by saying Cierra is my strongest connection in the villa. At that time, she was. He had always had interest in Olandria, but Olandria had friend zoned him. He didn't have a strong connection with Olandria. He was interested in her, yes, but Olandria was not giving Nick the same level of interest he had in her. So he couldn't consider Olandria his strongest connection at that time, which is why he was like, well, it looks like Cierra is my best connection. I guess I'm going to close off with her and just see where this goes. Ended things with her in the villa. They've been together for the past 3 weeks. And the reason I say this too is like, Nick really didn't have that many other options. And I think it's because of two things. I think him sleeping with Cierra marked him as unavailable to a lot of the other girls coming in the villa, which is why I said Cierra was slightly, I don't even know if it was slightly, but manipulated the relationship with Nick by sleeping with him so early. And in my opinion, to me, it came up as she was trying to mark her territory. Also, the way that people were complaining about how loud she was specifically, to me, tells me like she wanted it to be known to other people her and Nick were sleeping together, because she wanted to mark her territory with other women so other women wouldn't come after him. Like, I sensed her tea. I clocked her tea. Cierra's tea, to be quite honest. That is not someone who's just like whatever. Anyways, I think that kind of made Nick's options in the villa go down, because literally most of the bombshells coming in were not going after Nick. I think purposely, because they knew him and Cierra were sleeping together. And most women, if they know a man is sleeping with another woman, they're not going to try to come in there and take him. So that's why I'm like, Cierra's not slick. I know what you're doing. I know why you did that. You are not, I don't know. I just think like there's more to that than what people think it is. But secondly, too, I feel like once Cierra was removed, he no longer had his strongest connection in the villa. So that is why him and Olandria, like the other thing that had to happen is Olandria had to no longer have Taylor as an option. So Taylor had to pick Clark, Cierra had to be removed, and Olandria had to have some interest in Nick for her to pick him over Zach and Elon. And I honestly think initially, like, Nick thought when Olandria picked him that they were just going to be a platonic friendship couple. But then you see, like, shortly in, he was like, I thought this was just going to be platonic, but then she was backing up into me, and I was like, whoa. Like, he had that conversation with Ace. Like, this is why I'm like, Nick, y'all think Nick, out of all the people in the villa, is faking? That man couldn't hide the fact that he was turned on by Olandria backing into him, doing the bare minimum. Like, that man has no filter. That man is brutally honest, very outgoing, very extroverted, like, jokes around. Like, you think he's the one, he's faking his entire relationship with Olandria. I don't know. I just feel like some people are, this is what I honestly think. I think some people truly don't think Nick is attracted to Olandria. I think they watch the entire show, and for some reason, they're still questioning Nick's attraction to Olandria because they don't believe Nick is a good-looking man, a good-looking white man. And I hate to say it, there's racism involved. There's racism, colorism, a lot of isms with people's unwillingness to believe Nick's attraction to Olandria or interest in Olandria is genuine, because that's what people are questioning. They're questioning Nick's interest. They're questioning Nick's authenticity. They're questioning Nick's genuinism. Why? Because he's a good-looking white man who chose, out of all of the people that walked into a villa, the dark-skinned black woman as his pair, as his match. That's the real reason people are questioning their relationship. It has nothing to do with, oh, Nick's just not genuine, he's a clout chaser. Like, That man doesn't need to chase clout. He already was a model. He was a nurse. He's already traveled. He comes from a upper middle class family by the looks of it. Like, that man was going to be fine with or without fame. He didn't need to be famous. Now, he probably doesn't mind it, right? No one's going to be like, oh my gosh, I hate having millions of followers. He's an extroverted person. Of course, he loves it. He loves having his followers, right? And supporters. I mean, and he also gets a lot of hate. That man has been doxxed. People have been talking so badly about him. Like, yes, he gets a lot of love, but he also gets a lot of hate on the internet too. So it's not all just positive things that he's experienced. But the one community that he does get the most love from is the people who support him and Olandria's relationship. And to be quite honest, the people who support him and Olandria's relationship mostly support Olandria, right? So I don't really think, like, if anyone's getting any sort of clout off of anyone, I would, and I feel like this is why. It's like, I feel like Olandria is more loved in Nick and Olandria. And the fact that people are saying Nick's clout chasing the relationship. If he knows Olandria has the most love in the relationship, he knows he has to act right, do things a certain way. But also there's just certain things that don't make sense you would do for someone you don't actually like. He invited Olandria to his things. Like, if he's trying to get his own clout off of someone else, why would he? It's just, I don't know. This is why I feel like people are projecting so much into it, because it's just like, you're saying he's using Olandria, but he was the one who invited Olandria to things he already had going on, you know? His shoot with Kalani, he's been modeling for Kalani Kinis for like 4 years. He's been modeling for them. Why would he have to bring Olandria to that? It's, I don't know. I guess people are looking at it as like, oh, it's like he saw how much people love him and Olandria, so he's just marketing off of that. But it seems like he planned a lot of that stuff before even getting out of the villa. Like, in their very first interviews, like, I also feel like we didn't see all of the conversations Nick and Olandria had behind the scenes. So it's like, there's a lot of assumptions, I feel like, that are being made negatively about Nick in order to perpetuate this claim of him being fake, disingenuous, and inauthentic, which, in my opinion, he's never acted like or been on the show. And then, even with people, the biggest thing people had against Nick being inauthentic was they're like, he voted out Jeremiah, that was his boy. Whole time, that man had voted Austin. He never even voted for Jeremiah to leave the villa. So y'all were wrong about the major thing that y'all thought made him fake and disingenuous. He never voted for Jeremiah to get out the villa. And he got, what's it called? Bashed for that on the internet. People were calling him a rat and a snitch and all of this other stuff. And whole time, he never even voted for Jeremiah. So it's just like, there's so many things that I'm not saying you have to love him or like him or whatever, but I feel like, let's just be objective about this. What actually has that man done that y'all think is fake? Other than, and this is why I said, I think the biggest thing is people saw his treatment, his relationship with Cierra, and how lackluster that was. And then they're seeing how he is with Olandria. They're like, oh, this man must be being fake. Like, how he was with Cierra must be how he truly is. And he's just faking his interest in her for the cameras. When in reality, I really just think it was the difference between him having to work and earn someone that he was truly interested in from the beginning, versus him being in a relationship with someone that was easily accessible to him, that he didn't really have to work that hard to get. I feel like he treats Olandria much better because he had to work hard to get her, and he has to work hard to keep her. I feel like that's not disingenuous. That's just how it is in a relationship. If a man doesn't work to get you, um, if a man didn't have to work to get your attention, he doesn't have to earn your attention or respect. He had to earn Alandria's respect because, by the way, like I said, Alandria in the beginning, she was not looking at Nick like that. Yes, she found him attractive, but she was like, I don't know if he's mature enough for me, right? So Nick literally had to become a more mature person in order for Alandria to even take him seriously. He never had to do that with Cierra. That is why we see a more mature, a more gentlemanly, he's a more chivalrous man with Olandria, because she demands that of the partner that she's with, because she has a high level of respect for herself. That is why it's like night and day. How he was with Cierra versus how he was with Olandria. But that doesn't mean he's a disingenuous person. And that's all I have to say.